All right, everybody. It is October 2nd, 2025. I'm Dave Rubin. This is the Rubin Report, and I should note up top, in the interest of transparency, this is a pre-taped episode because today is Yom Kippur, which is the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. It's the Day of Atonement, 25, not 24, 25 hours of fasting. So we are pre-taping this yesterday, your time, if you can follow along with the time shift here. And I am either in temple right now and or laying unconscious in a ditch, very hungry. We'll find out more tomorrow when I'm live in studio at 11 a.m. with Dinesh D'Souza. But we did want to put up an episode for you. We're going to do a little Rubin Report, .locals.com community Q&A. And then, as I mentioned on the show yesterday, Zorhan Mamdani went on The View. So we're going to start with a couple of clips of that. Then we'll get to a little bit of the other cultural craziness, get to some questions, and then we'll wrap it up. And then I will have bagels tonight. That's how it's going to work. Or I will have bagels tomorrow, my time, tonight, if you're watching this right now. Okay. So Zorhan, the communist, he went over to The View and hung out with a bunch of socialists. It was horrible. Here they are. Well, here's Joy. And Joy, even though probably, I would imagine, Joy Behar doesn't want to live in, even though Joy's a nutbag, I don't think she truly wants to live in a communist country. Her husband happens to be Jewish. That might be a problem. We'll get to that in a second. Might be a problem for Zorhan, or actually a problem for her husband. But here she is. They're mostly focused on stopping Donald J. Trump.
Trump says that he will withhold federal funding for New York City if you win. Can he do that, number one? And my question is that going to stop people from voting for you?
You know, this is just one of the many threats that Donald Trump makes. Every day he wakes up, he makes another threat, a lot of the times about the city that he actually comes from. And what is angering to me is not what Donald Trump does, because we've come to expect that from him. But it's the idea that we have to accept that as the law. The idea that we have to accept that as normal. We have to fight that.
Here's my last one. He wants to use cities like New York as military training grounds. Can you stop him?
He wants to do a whole lot of things with this city, and we're going to fight him every step of the way, as long as it is something that comes at the expense of this city. And what I mean by that is that if Donald Trump picks up the phone and he says, you know what, I finally want to deliver on cheaper groceries that I campaigned on, I'll say, absolutely. Let's work together.
Well, when does that happen? When that's
not happening anytime soon.
Joy, I want to say this to you. We knew each other a bit, used to see each other on the Upper West Side back in the day. You're a really disappointing human being, because although you've gone bananas lefty, you don't have to hand it to them. They're going to, that man you are talking to with his soft voice and his perfect suit and haircut is going to destroy New York City. He is a communist and a radical, and I would say he's jihad adjacent. We'll get to that in just a second. And you are laundering his BS on that show by being upset about Donald Trump. And then, well, yes, if Donald Trump comes in and wants to help with the price of groceries. No. The best way to control grocery prices is to have the government do it. That's what you guys want right now. How about there's something called competition? And when you get the government out of the way, then a lot of grocery stores start appearing in places, a lot of different stores offering different services, offering different products come in, and then they start competing. And what that competition does is it causes prices to get lower because people want to outsell the competitor. And it also increases innovation because people basically want to build a better mousetrap. So you'll shop at their store and elsewhere. But no, you want centralized control over everything. And I would just say, Joy, the protections of the Upper West Side may not afford you a lot of comfort once this lunatic takes over. Now, of course, the other thing with this guy, Zorhan, is he's not just a communist, but he absolutely is a Hamas and jihad apologist who every which way tries to not condemn Hamas. He doesn't mind calling for river to the sea and globalize the Intifada and all that. And he has a wonderful way of twisting all of his words, which a lot of these people do quite well. What's her name? Sarah Hines. My mom always wants me to remember her name. Sarah Hines. She's not completely insane, and she's on The View. Here she is asking Zorhan about condemning Hamas.
Just this week, you were evasive with a reporter about condemning Hamas. Given New York has the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, why should voters who see this as a moral red line trust your clarity and judgment?
Well, I really appreciate this question and an opportunity to just clear up, I think, a number of misconceptions. First and foremost, you're right. I am running to be the mayor of the city, and this city will be the focus of my administration, ensuring that we make this a city everyone can afford and everyone knows that they belong to. And also, millions of New Yorkers, myself included, care deeply about what's happening in Israel and Palestine. And so to be very, very clear, of course I condemn Hamas. Of course I've called October 7th what it was, which is a horrific war crime. And of course, my belief in a universality in international law is also the same set of beliefs that have led me to describe what's happening in Gaza as a genocide. Because what we see is a war crime being answered with war crimes. And what we see is every single hour the Israeli military killing a Palestinian child for close to 2 years. And it's a horror that many New Yorkers feel so deeply.
God, get the fuck out of New York City if you're sane. I just don't even know. I'm not in the mood today. Maybe it's, I don't know. I'm really not. His universality and international law. As I explained to you guys the other day, international law is not real. It does not exist. If you are a citizen of the United States, you have to abide by the laws of the United States. The international law is nothing. It is basically a giant farce that only attacks Israel. That's it. As for, I would say, congratulations. He finally got to say he doesn't like Hamas. But then, of course, accused Israel of war crimes and genocide, which if they wanted to commit a genocide, this war would have been over on October 9th. It would have taken them 48 hours. They could have killed everybody and cleared out the thing. Hamas chose to keep those people underground and keep those hostages, 20 of whom we still think are alive right now. They killed 47 Americans. He does not give a flying F about any of them. And what would you do, Zorhan? What would you do if a jihadist group that didn't think you were jihadi adjacent enough murdered your wife, raped your daughter, kidnapped your cousin, and burned down your town? Killed about 1,000 of your friends. What would you do? So answer a war crime with a war crime. It's just so pathetic. But since I'm obviously, maybe I'm pre-hungry. That's what the problem is today. I saw this account on X that I thought summed it up quite well. His response right there. Mamdani's selective outrage is a masterclass in hypocrisy. He condemns October 7th as a war crime, but labels Israel's self-defense a genocide, a grotesque inversion of reality. This is the same guy who refused to sign a Holocaust resolution, compared globalize the Intifada to the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, prompting condemnation from Holocaust survivors, and pushes BDS to isolate a democratic ally. His universal international law shtick crumbles when he ignores Hamas's atrocities while weaponizing ICJ rulings against Israel. Mamdani doesn't want justice. He wants ideological theater that endangers Jewish New Yorkers and empowers Iran-backed extremists. Condemning Hamas while laundering anti-Israel venom is in balance. It's moral bankruptcy with the press pass. Yeah, this guy is a radical. He is dangerous. We should beat him with ideas, and he should be beaten in New York City at the ballot box. Unfortunately, it does not look like it is going to happen. But I would say to all of these people, enjoy Behar when the riots start and they come for the rich people of the Upper West. Good luck. And I would say once again to all of the Jews, get the hell out of there. But as of this afternoon, Florida is closed. We just don't have any more room for any of this. I thought this was quite great. There's this guy, I've met him a couple of times. His name's Zach Sage, he's a content creator, does mostly stuff on Instagram. And he went out to New York City and he pretends to be like a canvasser for Mamdani trying to get signatures. And then he explains Mamdani's positions to Mamdani supporters and comedy ensues.
Voting for Zohan, you are.
Yeah.
Can I get your signature for support?
Sure.
Okay, wait, I'm required by law. I just have to read you like 3 of these policies. You're cool to elect a mayor who won't condemn Sharia law.
Yep.
Sharia law. I'm denouncing them. I'm asking you. I'm running.
Okay, cool.
I don't know about that. But,
Oh, you don't?
well, what is this?
It's just like a lot of his policy positions and stuff. You have to recognize the DSA's Bill of Rights socialism, so he'd replace the Bill of Rights with... You can read all this. This is out there. You still want to do it or no? Oh, he's going to tax white people higher? It's on his website first.
I just don't think that this is exactly his policies.
You can look all of it up.
It's
No, this is
framing-
literally the first thing on his website about taxing whiter neighborhoods.
It doesn't say whiter.
No, it literally says whiter neighborhoods. Okay.
I don't know what's going on here.
Wait, so you voted for him in the primary, but you didn't know about that? Okay.
Yeah, great job, Zach. I mean, liberal women are going to kill all of us. They don't know what they're doing. It is through their own feelings about everything. She's white, so that means they're going to tax your neighborhoods more. It's literally on his website. Won't condemn Sharia law. You're going to look great in a beekeeper's costume, lady. And good luck with all of that. But I would say that Mamdani is just actually a symptom of a much larger sickness, which of course is the woke mind virus that has ransacked our culture sort of across the board. Another thing that was kind of going viral this week is, and in large part because of Elon Musk exposing some of this, there is a Netflix show for kids called Dead End Paranormal Park. And it has now been exposed as pushing pro-trans ideology on children. Take a look.
It's not the park. It's me. I'm trans, Norma. And everyone at school knows, and everyone at home knows. And being here, it's like a whole new place. I can just be Barney, and I can choose if and when I tell people. I've never been happier. And that's saying something when I spent today chased by terrifying zombie mascots. Pugsley reminded me how important it is to live your life without apology. So I think I gotta give living here a shot, don't you?
You don't need my permission.
You know, thank God that we're pre-taping this today and I'm actually in temple right now praying. I'm praying right now and I'm repenting. Why do I feel like I need to repent for that? It makes no sense. But that's not for children, but it's marketed towards children. That is the problem. You want to be 20 years old and you grew up as Max and you want to call yourself Mary and have a little opsa and a funny wig and get your nails done. That's just fine. But stop pushing this crap on kids. Also, it's Halloween right now. So there's a lot of ghost stuff going on in my house right now. The kids are huge on Ghostbusters right now. Okay. But if in Ghostbusters 2, they had chopped Venkman's wang off, I wouldn't have shown that to the kids. I haven't even shown them Ghostbusters. They're just really into the song at the moment, and they like the idea of ghosts. They're only 3. That's the point. There's no trans wackadoodle stuff in Ghostbusters, but I'm still not sure. Elon's not happy about this because Elon's son is now a daughter, or a daughter is now a son. So, and they're estranged completely. So he saw that video and he reposted this meme. And of course, it's the Trojan horse idea that you get the transgender woke agenda and your kids, and they're just walking into the castle. And he wrote, "Cancel Netflix for the health of your kids." And here's another one of these shows. It's another one. This is a documentary, but again, aimed at transing kids on Netflix.
I keep thinking of the moments that have led me here.
How do you feel about the treatment that you want to have?
I feel good about that because then I won't grow into a boy, I'll be myself.
The winner of the Young People's Human Rights Medal for 2017 is Georgie Stone.
My name is Georgie Stone. I'm 15 years old. For the last 5 years, court has played a big part in my family's life.
To have a complete stranger having to make a decision about my body was really distressing, and I felt really powerless.
I want to make sure this doesn't play the same part in anyone else's life.
Even though we have achieved a lot, we still need to make sure that we are protecting and looking after trans kids in Australia.
All right. Trans kids in Australia. I really will try the most positive version here. I hope that Georgie right there, that biological boy who has transitioned, did a documentary and is now living as a girl, I hope that Georgie lives a great, wonderful, flourishing life. It's going to be very complex as it pertains to future medical procedures and the inability as a woman to give birth, for example, perhaps find a partner, what has happened to her body, all of those things. But I actually do wish that young person well in their life. the point is, why is this stuff being pushed on Netflix? That one, you could say what you want. Okay, fine. That one's a documentary. So, okay, it's not really aimed at kids. It's about kids transitioning. So there's still an issue there. Again, you want to do whatever you want as an adult, that's fine. The previous one, which is aimed at kids, that you would, because what happens on these Netflix things, we really try not to give the kids too much TV, but there's autoplay on a lot of these things. So you start watching Bluey or something completely innocuous, Puffin Rock. Have you guys seen Puffin Rock? Perfect, great. But then next thing you know, you're watching something about trans stuff. Like the system is designed to break brains, and well, a lot of people are now seeing this, especially because Elon brought it to light, and you can see a whole bunch of people. I mean, there's been thousands of them, people posting that they have canceled Netflix. And I guess at the end of the day, I guess that's really the point of all of this is it's on your responsibility to raise your kids, know what they're watching and all of those things, hopefully teach them some of the right things too. And if they are going through some sort of confusion about their body as it pertains to their identity, that you'd hopefully get them as much psychological help before chemically castrating them and the rest of it. But at the end of the day, you also have to figure out where your dollars are going to go. And it would be like this. If you don't think there's any value in watching this show, then don't watch it. And if you think that you're paying for Netflix and it's doing harm in your house, then you probably shouldn't be paying for it. We'll have more on all this, and then we'll get to the community Q&A in just a second. But first, Harvest Right. Let's face it, guys, eating healthy can be a challenge when life gets busy, but the Harvest Right freeze dryer has completely transformed the way one approaches meal prep. With the new single prep session, it's now possible to store homemade, nutrient-rich meals for months or even years without preservatives and without stress. From roasted vegetables to smoothie ingredients to full-grain bowls, almost anything can be freeze-dried. When it's time to eat, just rehydrate a prepared meal and enjoy healthy, effortless food perfect for those always on the go. It's like having a reliable backup plan for every weeknight dinner emergency. Even snacks get a serious upgrade. Freeze-dried apples, strawberries, and mangoes become go-to treats, naturally sweet with no added sugar. They're not only satisfying, but also kid-approved. For anyone tired of relying on takeout or watching fresh produce go to waste, this is the kitchen upgrade that makes all the difference, and it's a serious money saver, too. Take control of your meals at harvestright.com/Rubin. Okay, so I want to do one other thing related to the trans ideology. It's interesting because in some sense it feels like we've moved past it, right? Like they're going full communist now. That's where we started with Mamdani, and we can sort of feel this thing. They're not calling themselves Democrat Socialists anymore. The woke thing in terms of the trans part does feel like it's getting a little bit smaller at the moment. We're pushing boys out of girls' sports, but it's not gone altogether. And, J.K. Rowling, who of course created Harry Potter, was at the center of much of the firestorm over the last couple of years because all she did was say that she wanted to basically protect girls' spaces, keep boys out of girls' sports. And then she got called a transphobe. They tried to push her out of the Harry Potter lore altogether, not invite her to conferences, people called her all sorts of crazy, awful things. Emma Watson, who played Hermione in the show, she has been big in the trans activism space, particularly as it pertains to kids. But she seems to be waking up right now and not want to throw J.K. Rowling under the bus. And watch this little interview with her.
Hope maybe they will one day resolve or co-join themselves and maybe accept that they never will, but that they can both still be true. And I can love her. I can know she loved me. I can be grateful to her. I can know the things that she said are true. And that can be this whole other thing. And my job feels like to just hold all of it. But the bigger thing is just what she's done will never be taken away from me.
All right. First off, as an actress, your job is to act. I know they think their job is to opine on all the cultural and political issues of the day, but I will give her some credit here. She seemed to have gone all in on the trans stuff, particularly as it pertains to kids. Then she saw the entire machine going after J.K. Rowling, trying to cancel her and destroy her. And this, as she describes, this is a woman she loves. This is a woman who's given her a career and untold success and fame and fortune and all of these things. And I don't think she really hates, I certainly don't think J.K. Rowling hates anybody. And I don't think that she hates J.K. Rowling. But anyway, J.K. Rowling saw that. So you can see she's trying to kind of have it a little bit both ways. But I'll give some credit where credit is due as someone wakes up. But then J.K. Rowling saw that and she tweeted this: "I'm seeing quite a bit of comments about about this. So I want to make a couple points. I am not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played a character I created. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking with the boss I had when I was 21 for what opinions I should hold these days. I wasn't a multimillionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the trashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges. The greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me is no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might have never been this honest. Man, she is good. You want to figure out who the good guy is in the Harry Potter story, which frankly, I thought the movies were kind of boring. Yeah, I like robots. It's just me. I like space. I like robots. You know, oh, I got a little stick. Zippity dippity. I could do this. But the point is, like, she's just great. That was so well written. And she's really making the broader point, which is, yes, it's nice to see people wake up, but it's partly because she sees the culture changing. Anyway, author Fiona McKenna was on GB News, and she analyzed this whole thing. And the reason I'm showing you this is this half, we can sort of play everything halfways. It just doesn't work. Watch this.
Well, I'd like to think so. And I think there are some other positive signs, too, that things are shifting. When you see the media starting to say trans women are men, then I think we really are winning. But Emma Watson was careful, wasn't she, not to go too far. I think what she's going to find now is you can't sit on the fence. She was a real cheerleader for Mermaids, the charity, and for transitioning children and for people knowing who they are. Whether she is trying to row back from that full-hearted support for transitioning children, or whether she's just trying to get back in with J.K. Rowling in the hope of work, who knows? Richard Dawkins is an interesting case because, you know, I'm sure when he wrote The God Delusion, he thought that was quite out there. It turns out that saying men can't become women is even more out there. And who would have thought that? But he is someone whose career is so established that he's not at any risk. The real win is when ordinary people can say those things. And I don't think we're quite there yet.
Yeah, that is very well said. So look, what I think Emma Watson will find is what I've tried to do here with a little bit of humor, but it's that she'll find some grace here. If she really starts realizing that she's been on the wrong side of this thing, she will find some grace and acceptance. Now, is she doing it in some cynical thing because the culture has changed and maybe she wants to be in a future movie or whatever? Perhaps. But the other point that she made there, which is quite good, is that Richard Dawkins, who's really basically the most well-known atheist on the planet, when he wrote The God Delusion and has spent most of his life attacking Christianity, he never really feared for his life. He started fearing for his life and he started shutting up about things. There were two things that shut him up. It was radical Islam, surprise, surprise. And it was when he started talking about the trans ideology, and he shut up pretty quickly. And that really does make you realize who are the radicals. So I would say, Emma Watson, if you're watching, I assume she's a big fan of the show. If you're watching today's show, it is nice to see you wake up. That actually is good, but I can already predict what will happen. The more you wake up, and you've already woke up enough that you're going to only get hate from the other side. You tried to just make amends, even if it was cynically to get work. You tried to make amends with J.K. Rowling. You are now going to be pushed out that side, and you will find mostly open arms over here. But you can't play it both ways. Just make a definitive declaration, start realizing what the truth is, and go from there. But I want to connect this to one other thing before we get to the questions, which is that basically I think most of us have now come around to the idea that basic common sense is all we need. And the guy who, of course, is doing that the most on the network side of things is Scott Jennings over there on CNN. And here is Joe Rogan and Elon Musk talking about how Jennings is actually screwing up the CNN business model because he's making sense in an otherwise clownish situation.
Scott Jennings on CNN is good.
Yeah.
He's like,
oh my God, he's great.
He's great.
It's
like
just funny watching him speak logically to these people, and they freak out.
Yes, it's remarkable.
It is. And he's so calm when he does it.
Yeah,
he's so good, and it's crazy that they keep letting him do it because it's like he's just dunking on these people over and over and over again. And their business was being hurt when we were all woke, but let's stay mostly woke.
Yeah,
that way
they just backed it off a notch.
Just a notch. Just a notch. But it's not, the problem is when you back it off a notch and you let someone like Scott Jennings in, you're like, you're up your whole business
Yeah.
because all the viral clips are all him saying logical, reasonable things with a
Yeah.
calm tone and people screeching
Yes.
about diversity and equity and and horse.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's like being logical and reasonable, and they're just lobbing a bunch of non sequiturs that don't mean anything. And yeah,
and that's why we play the Scott Jennings clips there. I always say about Scott, and I've only met him once in person for a second. Like the guy, it's not like you're looking at the guy going, "Oh my God, this is the most incredible TV personality ever. He's the most dynamic talent ever," or anything else. I don't mean that offensively to him in any way. He just strikes me as a decent, sane man, the type of guy that if he was at your kid's softball game, you'd be like, "That's a nice man." And that's what he comes across as on those shows. And they put him with these hysterical, shrieking people. And the problem that I think we're increasingly having is that because mainstream media and the left and everything, they all went so in on the crazy, it's very hard to back out of the crazy. That's what I think Hermione, what's her name? Emma Watson's going to deal with. It's hard to back out of the crazy because then the crazies come after you. There's nothing that the crazies hate more than somebody that defects. I know a little something about that. So they've gone so in on this at CNN, but they were like, okay, the business is not working anymore, man. We got to bring in someone sane. And then you bring in this guy and he's like, boys and girls are different. And then everybody freaks out and they don't know what to do about it. So it is a rather interesting situation, but I would say it means we are winning, even if it sometimes is hard to see. All right, we're going to get to a RubinReport.locals.com community Q&A on the other side, but first, CB Distillery. You know those nights when you just can't sleep and the next day you're exhausted and everything feels harder than it should? That's where CBD from CB Distillery can make a real difference. But it's not just about sleep. CB Distillery has solutions that work with your body to help ease stress, support recovery after exercise, and even improve mood and focus. And the best part, it's all made with the highest quality ingredients. No fillers, just premium CBD. Imagine waking up rested or getting through your day without those nagging aches and pains. That's the real win, and it's why over 2 million people trust CB Distillery. So if you're ready for better sleep, less stress, and to feel good in your own skin again, try CBD from CB Distillery. And right now you can save 25% off your entire purchase. Just visit cbdistillery.com and use promo code Rubin. That's cbdistillery.com, promo code Rubin. All right, Tony says Trump's meme game is on fire this term. Considering that Brock is on the White House social media team and has input, are you proud knowing you had a hand in shaping his career? That's a little inside info right there. But yes, so Brock, my former social media guy here, who also is the husband of Isabel Brown, my good friend Isabel Brown, who I'm sure you've seen on the show many times. He did leave the Rubin Report about 8 months ago or so to join the administration. So yeah, he does have a hand in that. We are still friends. I saw both of them actually at Charlie's Memorial about a week and a half ago. They're doing great, thriving there. Yes, they live in DC, and I have no doubt they miss the free state of Florida. But I don't know that Brock had anything to do with the Mexican hat on Timu Obama specifically. Well, I'll text him after the show. We'll find out about that. But I'm very happy for his success. And, look, if you're going to, while I do like to think that none of these people will ever leave me, if they're going to leave me, like going to the White House, pretty decent reason, Crafty Cat says, will you have time to sightsee when in Australia? If so, please post pictures. I had my whole, where is it? It's right there. I have my whole itinerary, which is pages long. We're doing a bunch of live shows. I'm doing a bunch of private dinners, and we're going to do a couple meet and greet things. We do have, I think it's about a 10-day trip, and I think we have like 3 off days. Australia obviously is an absolutely huge country. None of my guys have been. The entire team's coming with me. Nobody's been there. And when I was there, it was a pretty jam-packed tour that I was doing with Jordan. So yes, I am really looking forward to some off days and hopefully enjoying the beach, but enjoying some of the nature and just I just want to feel the culture a little bit more. So we'll post some stuff on Locals, and I'd love to have, maybe we'll figure out, I don't know how many Australian Locals followers we have, but maybe we can do a meetup there as well. But looking forward to seeing you guys at the theaters. Connor says, who do you have winning the World Series, and why is it the Dodgers? Are is baseball playoffs? They're doing it again this year. Look at these guys. Okay, so this is it. You got the. Let's see if I can do this just by logo. You got Detroit versus Cleveland. All right. You got Boston versus New York. I can do that. Seattle already. Oh, I see. So that's the wild card games, I guess. And then you got Seattle and Toronto waiting for those guys. You got Cincinnati. You got LA. You got San Diego. You got Chicago. You got Milwaukee, and you got the Phillies. All right, I'm gonna say Yankees versus Dodgers. And Connor over here is a Dodgers fan. So a couple of years ago, I said in that I don't care about baseball that much anymore. If it makes you happy, I will root for the Dodgers. Tommy Lasorda still coaching?
It's a home run.
Lori says, Dave, are there any more Charlie Kirks out there that you can see? Oh, that's a great question. Well, the answer to that is there will be, and there are. And even though Charlie actually was irreplaceable, and I think what we're all learning is how truly one of a kind he was and what a special talent and human being he was, there's always another. One of the things that I've been thinking a lot, I'm sure I've said it on the show once or twice in the last 2 weeks, is that he really was the best of us. Like, he didn't attack people. Like, obviously, when I attack people, you guys get it. I'm doing it with sarcasm and hopefully humor. And sometimes I actually am angry and whatever. But Charlie tried to take the high road all the time. He was not infallible or anything. And I think, you end up sort of creating a caricature in some sense of a person when they're gone. You do it sometimes for the best reasons. And then, of course, there's people who've done it for the worst reasons. But there will be more Charlies out there. I think that will there be someone that's going to do it and go to the college campuses at the time? You're also a man of your time. So it was sort of the time period of 2017 up to 2025 where he did something that nobody else was doing, and he really did it better than anyone else, and he invented the thing. So I don't know. So everything is just a matter of like talent and the time that you live in and all those things. So that was very special and specific to Charlie himself. But there will be other versions of it. And maybe somebody watching this right now will pick up that mantle, and that would be pretty great. Let's talk about Rumble Premium for a second, then a couple more questions before we head out. This episode is brought to you by Rumble Premium, the home of free speech and exclusive content from voices that matter. With Rumble Premium, you get ad-free viewing, access to exclusive shows, and premium features across the platform. We're talking about Steven Crowder's Mug Club, Tim Pool's Timcast, and Russell Brand's Raw Commentary, plus tons of other bold creators you won't find anywhere else. Whether it's breaking news, real talk, or the content that challenges the narrative, Rumble Premium puts you in the front row. Support creators who actually say what they mean and mean what they say. Go to rumble.com/premium/Rubin to join today. That's rumble.com/premium/Rubin, because the truth shouldn't come with a filter. Nimbus says, I can't believe Zorhan has an 84% chance of winning on Call Sheet. Is there anything we can do? Look, I mean, at this point, Eric Adams just dropped out and he was polling at maybe 10%. So you've got Cuomo, seems like high 20s, low 30s. And then you've got Curtis Sliwa at like 15%. So it seems to me the only hope, but it is a sliver of a sliver of a sliver, is that Sliwa drops out. But he is a decent man who's been in New York forever. Okay, so he drops out, and then that really gets all of his people to go with Cuomo. And then I think it's just going this way. I think I said that 6 months ago. It is an abject disaster for the people of New York. It is an abject disaster for the United States. It's a disaster really for the world, because I'm telling you, they're going to fake it for a year and it's going to look really good. And that's where it will start replicating, like throwing water on a gremlin, and there will be more of it and more of it and more of it. But it is deeply sad. When I was in New York a couple of weeks ago when I went for the 9/11 memorial, and then it was the day after Charlie was assassinated. It was obviously extremely emotional, like the Charlie stuff. And then because I lived in New York City during 9/11, to go down to Ground Zero and see all that. But then the other part of being there was I really was thinking, man, this city's about to become communist run. Like, am I coming back here? A city that I lived in for 20 years, that like my formative years were in, that I stood on street corners as a broke stand-up comic handing out tickets just so I could get stage time, like all the shit that I had to do in the struggle years that I now look back on as the good old days. And it's like, would I ever even want to come back during that? So it's very sad what's about to happen to New York City. Dr. Dennis says, no. And so your question is there a way to reverse it? I don't see it. Yeah. I mean, maybe if Sliwa gets out tomorrow and then nobody really likes Cuomo. That's the other thing. Dr. Dennis says, have you ever been sent to the principal's office? If so, why? You know, I was a pretty good kid. I really was. Like, I played video games. I played sports. I never even had a beer in high school. The first beer that I ever had was a Coors Light at a high school graduation party. My friends and I, we rode our bikes around town all day. We were children of the 80s and early 90s. It was just a different, happy time. Not everybody was on the meth and the crack and everything. But one time, I think this was in 6th grade, I got into some kind of fight with this kid. His name was Brad. I remember he had really curly hair. I cannot remember his last name. And we got into a fight about something. I'm sure it was probably about like something like, is Nintendo better than Sega Genesis or Sega Master System? Like, it was probably something like that. I'm sure it was obviously nothing important. We're 6th graders. And he grabbed a pen and he stabbed me. He stabbed me in the neck with the pen and drew blood. And we were in music class. I was not allowed, believe it or not, with my beautiful singing voice. They did not allow me in chorus. I was sent into general music, which was kind of where they put like, oh, you can hold a tuba without drooling. Like, and they put us in there. Somehow in general music, I got stabbed in the neck by Brad. They sent us to the dean's office. It wasn't the principal, it was the dean. I think Mr. DeMaio, something like that. And this guy was he kind of looked like Dr. Phil. And he was this big guy with that kind of handlebar mustache. And he was always yelling at everybody, bald head, roar like this. And I remember he's yelling at us. And I'm sure I didn't do anything. Like, I'm a lover, not a fighter. Like, I didn't do anything. Kid stabs me, bleeding in the neck. And I kid you not, this is how it was back then. He had a big ass Texas belt with like a big belt buckle. He took it off and started like, as if he was going to hit us with it. Yada, yada, yada. I got $10 million out of the school administration. No. No. I don't even remember what happened at the end, but that was it. That was it. That was it. I never stayed up past 11. Like, I played Nintendo. That's it. Polly says, Dave, Ron DeSantis floated the idea that he'd like to remove property tax from Florida citizens, but not for snowbirds. Do you fear this tax discrepancy will bring many fair-weathered conservatives over to Florida permanently? So it's a great point. So DeSantis right now he's fighting, believe it or not, with the Florida legislature about this. Even though we have a supermajority, these squishy Republicans, he's trying, because Florida is doing so well with so many incoming people and such a flourishing economy, and we're breaking records with tourism every year. He is fighting to get rid of property taxes for your primary home. They call it your homestead here. It's also a city of Homestead, but they call it your homestead, to remove property taxes from that, because there's enough revenue already being generated, and because why, if you buy a property, it's yours. It should be yours outright. You shouldn't owe the government every year. Also, it becomes a problem because so many people are moving to Florida that property prices are increasing, and thus the tax base increases. So if you're a good OG Floridian, your property is going up and you're having to pay more taxes on it just because you were here when things weren't so good. So he's trying to make it happen. But your question is, will the snowbirds who have a place here then just decide to come here and make that their homestead? And of course, the answer to that is yes. But I would say most of the snowbirds, most of the people that I'm meeting in Florida, and I get it, I'm in a bubble, but most of the people that I'm here in Florida, they're voting the right way. They're here for the right reasons. Florida's really, really strong. But yes, we will see more of them. And I'm telling you, the amount of Canadians, the snowbirds from Canada, that just don't go home. They're supposed to go home and they just don't now. It's pretty intense. All right, one more for you. John says, are you ready to fast for 25 hours? Has this been difficult for you in the past? You know, I've always done it since I was a kid. As long as I can remember, my family always did it, and we'd have all my aunts and uncles and cousins at my house, and I basically have always done it. It's not, well, first off, I really like having a cup of coffee in the morning. So like, maybe I'm going to have just like a glass of water tomorrow morning. I'm going to try not to. I'm really going to try to do it right this year. I mean, they want, the way you're supposed to do it technically is nothing. I mean, nothing. So I'm going to try. So I'll forego the glass of water. And yes, it is tough. But I find if you can basically, if you can nap from around 3 to 5, from 5 to 7, you can push it. Have your everything bagel, little lox. You'll be happy. It's all good. Thank you for watching, guys. Obviously, no post game because this is a pre-tape, and we are live tomorrow, 11 a.m. with Dinesh D'Souza. See ya.